Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajanaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. So let's start our Srimad Bhagavatam class. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrutyam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udarayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Mukham Karati Vachalam Pangam Langaiti Girin Yat Kripatvam Mahamande Sri Guru Tinataram Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 4, Text 13. Tat sarvam na samachakshva. Tat sarvam na samachakshva. Prusto yad iha kinchana. Prusto yad iha kinchana. Manyetvam vishaye vacham. Manyetvam vishaye vacham. Snatam anyatra chandashat. Snatam anyatra chandashat. Odd meaning translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Tat, that, sarvam, all, na, unto us, samachakshva, clearly explained, prustaha, questioned, yata iha, herein, kinchana, all that, manye, we think, tvam, you, vishaye, in all subjects, vacham, meanings of words, snatam, fully acquainted, anyatra, except, Chandashat, portion of the Vedas. Translation. We know that you are expert in the meaning of all subjects except some portion of the Vedas, and thus you can clearly explain the answers to all the questions we have just put to you. These are the questions asked by the sages of Naimisharanya, headed by Shaunaka Rishi, to Sutta Goswami. Purport. Can you able to see the top line? The toolbar has come up.
No, only first two lines is being covered.
I will hide that. Now you can able to see it.
Yes.
Purport, the difference between the Vedas and the Puranas is like that between the Brahmanas and the Parivrajaka's. The Brahmanas are meant to administer some fruitive sacrifices mentioned in the Vedas. But the Parivrajakacharyas or learned teachers are meant to disseminate transcendental knowledge to one and all. As such, the Parivrajakacharyas are not always expert in pronouncing the Vedic mantras which are practiced systematically by accent and meter by the Brahmanas who are meant for administering Vedic rites. Yet, it should not be considered that the Brahmanas are more important than the itinerant preachers. They are one and different simultaneously because they are meant for the same end in different ways. There is no difference also between the Vedic mantras and what is explained in the Puranas and Itihasas. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, it is mentioned in the Madhyandina Shruti that all the Vedas, namely the Sama, Atharva, Rig, Yajur, Puranas, Itihasas, Upanishads, etc., are emanations from the breathing of the Supreme Being. The only difference is that the Vedic mantras are mostly begun with Pranava Omkara, and it requires some training to practice the metric pronunciation of Vedic mantras. But that does not mean that Srimad Bhagavatam is of less importance than the Vedic mantras. On the contrary, it is the ripened fruit of all the Vedas, as stated before. Besides that, the most perfectly liberated soul, Srila Sukadeva Goswami, is absorbed in the studies of the Bhagavatam. Although he is already self-realized, Srila Sutta Goswami is following his footsteps, and therefore his position is not the least less important because he was not expert in chanting Vedic mantras with the metric pronunciation, which depends more on practice than actual realization. Realization is more important than parrot-like chanting. Tat Sat. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshmurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Tapatakamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavam Cha Sri Rupam Sakrajatam Sahagana Raghunadanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Cha Vishakanvitam Cha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostame Taptoka Anchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhan Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Yevacha Patitanam Papanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for joining in great number. And then the sloka goes like this. Once again, we'll have a glance. Tat sarvam na samachakshva prusto yad iha kinchana manyatvam vichaye vacham snatam manyatra chandashat. We know that you are these sages of the Naimisharanya. They were asking, "Oh, Sutta Goswami, we know that you are expert in the meaning of all subjects, except some portion of the Vedas. Why this exception is given?" And that is the gist of the sloka. And thus, you can clearly explain the answers to all the questions we have just put to you. Even the assembled devotees also, they are not much worried about the flowery language of the Vedas because they also know it, but still they want to hear from a realized personality who is none other than our today's hero, Sutta Goswami. So the Srila Prabhupada gives translation. The difference between the Vedas and the Puranas is a parallel comparison Srila Prabhupada is giving between Brahmanas and the Parivrajikacharyas. So, as you know, in renounced order also there are 4 stages. Kuti Chaka, Bahudaka, Parivrajikacharya, and Paramahamsa. These are the 4 stages. Yeah, as you remember, you know, when we pay Mangalacharan also, we give our obeisances. Om Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Astotar Satashi Shrimad Divine Grace AC Bhaktivedansam Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, like that. So they are not only Parivrajakacharyas, they are even Paramahamsas also, Srila Prabhupada and other Acharyas. Here, Srila Prabhupada says that the Brahmanas are meant to administer some fruitive sacrifices mentioned in the Vedas, But the Parivrajakacharyas or learned preachers are meant to disseminate transcendental knowledge to one and all. So this is very, very important, the difference between the people, the Brahmanas who chant the Vedic mantras. At the end of the purport, Srila Prabhupada also mentioned that it is not that they simply, vibrate or recite the verses, but actually, if anybody is reciting the verses, they should also know the meaning, and also they should able to act accordingly. We keep seeing so many schools and colleges, so many competitions happening of the Bhagavad Gita or other Vedic mantras. They chant very nicely. So if we ask, what is the meaning of the 4.3, then there is a question mark. And I have a friend who can able to recite a whole 2 chapters of Bhagavad Gita till today, 14th chapter and 15th chapter. And spontaneously he recites, but he does not chant the holy name of the Lord, and he does not come to the devotees association. And upon asking, my dear friend, what does the 15:15 meaning? So, hey, don't ask me the meaning. You ask me to recite fantastically, I will recite. He himself declares that. So here we can understand that reciting, it's okay. That's very good. Then keeping quiet. But we need to know the meaning of that. Then it will be the real realization. So as such, the Parivrajakacharyas are not always expert in pronouncing the Vedic mantras, which are practiced systematically by accent and meter by Brahmanas. Even our acharyas also, they are not very expert in exactly pronouncing the particular words, the vowel and the consonant and the long vowel, and how to exactly use that meter to the particular situation. And they may not be such experts, but they are very expert in preaching the glories and pastimes of the Lord. Actually, it is the culmination of all the preaching. If a preacher if he's going to the audience, he is supposed to glorify the Lord. He should enact the pastimes of the Lord, which is so attractive, which is so pleasing to the ears of the devotees. So at the same time, we should not, it should not be considered that the Brahmanas are more important than the itinerant preachers. Itinerant preachers means they are traveling monks, just like our Guru Maharaj. Just recently, he had again another big tour where he installed the deities and inauguration of the new temples. And those who are going for Puri Parikrama, nearly 30,000 devotees they gathered, and Guru Maharaj was spontaneously Parivrajika Acharya style. He was preaching. What was he preaching? He was preaching about the glories of Sri Kshetra, Jagannath Puri, and what really happens when you do parikrama for Jagannath Puri. Like that, Guru Maharaj addressed thousands and thousands of people. So these Parivrajaka Acharyas, they are not different simultaneously because they are not meant for the same, they are meant for the same end in different ways. So these preachers, they know what is the gist, what is the conclusion of the Vedas. So conclusion of the Vedas is Krishna is the Supreme Lord. Vedescha Sarvayar Aham Yeva Vedya, Vedant Krat Vedavid Evachaham. In this way, preachers or the traveling sannyasis, they play a very important role in the place of audience. So today I have divided this into 2 parts. One part is, explanation of this Prabhupada purport, and the second part we can have some videos where this Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharyas have enlightened so many people. Okay, so there is no difference between Vedic mantras and what is explained in the Puranas and Itihasas. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, it is mentioned in the Madhyandina Shruti that all the Vedas, namely Sama, Atharva, Rig, Yajur, Puranas, Itihasas, Upanishads, etc., emanations from the being of the Supreme Being. Those who know the secret of the Supreme Lord about his existence, his qualities, his name, his fame, his paraphernalia, then he is the realized person. He can able to very nicely explain to the general public. And upon hearing this Krishna's pastimes, like maybe he's a Guruvayurappan or Ranganath Swami or Badrinath or Mayapur Radha Madhav or Vrindavan Chandra, people are getting very much attracted. Just like when we go on the street also, when we chant the holy name of the Lord, when we sing the holy names of the Lord with kartal and mridang, with kirtan, and people are automatically attracted. And some people, they wantonly, they do not exhibit themselves, but it is the nature of the soul that they should get attracted. In such a way, the Maha Mantra has been designed. It has descended from the supreme abode. The difference is that the Vedic mantras are mostly begun with Pranava Omkara. As you know, Pranava Omkara is also impersonal feature of the Supreme Lord. Om, when we chant this is impersonal form of the Lord. Personal form of the Lord is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This is the difference. So then it requires some training, and so to practice this Pranava Omkara, actually there was a Gurukul. You need to get yourself admitted, and the teacher is supposed to train him. Some students, they may not be able to pronounce properly, then teacher is to give a proper training for the student. In this way, he will recite the Vedic mantras. But here, Srila Prabhupada says that the Parivrajika Acharyas, they are no more less than these people, but that does not mean that Srimad Bhagavatam is of less importance than Vedic mantras. We should never underestimate the Amala Purana of Srimad Bhagavatam. This is a ripened fruit. And mala means contamination. Amala means there is no contamination in Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita also. This Bhagavad Gita is emanated from the lotus mouth of the Lord. There are no defects. But if we say something, this is full of defects. So on the contrary, it is the ripened fruit of all the Vedas, as stated before. Besides that, the most perfectly liberated soul, Srila Sukadeva Goswami, is absorbed in the studies of the Bhagavatam. And also, our Shat Goswamis of Vrindavan, they completely immersed and absorbed in the pastimes of the Lord. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given them assignments and tasks and projects that they are supposed to go and excavate where is Radhakunda, where is Shyamkunda, where is Radha Damodar temple, and where are the other temples. And Mahaprabhu has given just the directions and instructions for them. And these Shat Goswamis, they go and just by the order of the Supreme Lord, they can do Pangum Langaiti Girim. They can able to climb up the hills and dig the hills and find out where the Lord is. And this is the task it has been given to them. And when we go to Vrindavan also, so many things are not revealed for us. That's why we are supposed to go with the devotees, and going with a guru plays a very, very important role, especially to the dhams. So it's not just like, we go with our family and enjoy there. And coming back, we say, Prabhu, we went to Vrindavan or we went to Mayapur. Okay, you had been there, but what did you see? What was your realization? What was the Sthala Puran? What is the essence there? Nothing, Prabhu. That means, though you had been there, you have not realized the dham. That's why we should go with the devotees, especially at least with the Siksha Guru, Diksha Guru, we are supposed to go. Okay, so Srila Suta Goswami here, he is following the footsteps of the previous acharyas. When Srimad Bhagavatam was narrated, he was sitting there. And also, when he was sitting, when at the beginning, Sukadeva Goswami was giving Bhagavatam class to Parikshit Maharaj, there were his guru was also sitting. His guru was his own father, Srila Vasudev. He was also sitting. And his guru, that means for Sukadeva Goswami, Paramaguru is, Narada Muni. He was also sitting. And, it is very difficult to preach in front of the Paramagurus. But Sukadeva Goswami was fully absorbed, and actually he had been permitted to give Bhagavatam class. That's why when it is an etiquette normally that when our senior is there, we should shut our mouth. We should not speak anything, and we should not, make it an exhibition that I know better than my guru, like that. That is actually a type of offense when our seniors are available. Okay, so here at the end of this purport, Srila Prabhupada says, realization is more important than parrot-like chanting. So without realization, it's not possible for us to understand the glories and pastimes of the Lord. And whatever without realization, if you speak, that will not have any impact on the audience also. So we will throw some light on this realization. If you talk about bank realization, maybe some of you, transact with banks. Say somebody put money into your account. Will it be immediately revealed in your bank account? No, it will not be revealed because the person, other person, he has to write your account number, your branch name and amount in figures and words. He has to either deposit or send online, and it has to reach your branch, and your branch has to put a stamp and approve that this amount has been received. Then it reflects in your account. All this process is called realization. And also some more examples we can take here. The Brahmanas are meant to administer some fruitive sacrifices mentioned in the Vedas. Like, Parivrajikacharya is just like a doctor. So doctor, it is a choice for him. Either he can go and inject to the patient, or he can ask his junior doctor to inject, or he can ask his nurse to inject to the patient. That does not mean that this doctor does not know how to inject the patient. So doctor business is to know each and everything, but it's not necessarily that he should go and inject. In this way, we can also understand this realization. So many people, they read so many books also, but they do not consult any devotee, they do not take any guidance, they don't take any help. Simply they read so many books, especially the spiritual books. Simply by reading engineering books, nobody can become an engineer. Reading medical books without joining a college, he cannot become a doctor. And practicing law, like without actually joining in a college, simply you read books, law books, you cannot become a lawyer. And what to talk about the spirituality? In spirituality, simply many people, they think that simply reading Gita, they can become devotees. It is impossible. So reading Gita, first and foremost, you should have a parampara Gita, which is Srila Prabhupada has received from parampara. That's why he titled as Bhagavad Gita, as it is, Yadathad. And how this Yadathad will happen? You have to study under the guidance of another devotee who had already realized. In this way, your realization will take place. Otherwise, nothing will be revealed. Though you read the Gita one time, 3 times, 10 times, there is no use. So here, parrot-like chanting, it's okay. But without realization, if you chant, then what is the use? In this way, we can have so many points from these words. And about this flowery language of the Vedas also, I have extracted a few verses for our better understanding. So, the one word used here, disseminate transcendental knowledge to one and all. I just referred what is the disseminate meaning. The meaning, dictionary meaning has come out like this: to spread information, knowledge, ideas, etc., so that it reaches as many people as possible. Like, all these Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharyas, we have Sripada Ramanujacharya, Srila Madhvacharya, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Sakshat Krishna himself. They appeared, and they had done this dissemination of transcendental knowledge to all the people, even for the Muslims and Christians and so-called Hindus, for each and every living entity, even to the animals also, they have given this transcendental knowledge without any discrimination. Maybe at the end of the session, I can show you some videos. So Sripad Shankaracharya, who preached this Mayavada philosophy and stressed the impersonal feature of the absolute. He also recommended that one must take shelter of the lotus feet of Sri Krishna, for there is no hope of gain from debating. Okay, so indirectly, Sripad Shankaracharya admitted that he had preached the flowery grammatical interpretation of Vedanta Sutra cannot help one at the time of death. Nahi nahi rakshati. At the critical hour of death, one must recite the name of Govinda. This is the recommendation of all great transcendentalists. Sukadeva Goswami had long ago stated the same truth, that the end of one must remember Narayana, which Ajamila did, and he went back to Godhead. That is the essence of all spiritual activities. In pursuance of this eternal truth, Srimad Bhagavatam was heard by Emperor Parikshit, and it was recited by the able Sukadeva Goswami. And both the speaker and the receiver of the message of Bhagavatam were duly delivered by the same medium. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam 1.3.42. Then we have Bhagavad Gita 2.42 to 43. And these two verses also gives nice impetus into these words. Yam imam pushpitam vacham pravadanti avapachastitaha vedavadarata partha na anyad astiti vadinaha kamatmanaha swargapara janma karma palapradam kriya vishesha bahulam bogashwarya gatim pratim. Men of small knowledge are very much attracted to the flowery words of the Vedas, which recommend various fruitive activities for elevation to heavenly planets, resultant good, bad, power, and so forth. Janmaishwarya, like that. Being desirous of sense gratification and opulent life. They say that there is nothing more than this, but that is not the important. Then in 2.53, we have Shruti Viprati Pannate Yadastayati Nischala Samvadav Achala Buddhis Tada Yogam Avapashyashi. When your mind is no longer disturbed by the flowery language of the Vedas, and when it remains fixed in the trance of self-realization, then you will have attained the divine consciousness. Srila Prabhupada says in this purport, to say that one is in samadhi is to say that one has fully realized Krishna consciousness. That is, one in full samadhi has realized Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. The three aspects he can able to remember. The highest perfection of one's self-realization is to understand that one is eternally the servitor of Krishna, and that one's only business is to discharge one's duties in Krishna consciousness. A Krishna conscious person or unflinching devotee of the Lord should not be disturbed by the flowery language of the Vedas. This point is to be noted. Nor be engaged in fruitive activities for promotion to the heavenly kingdom. They go to Tirupati, they ask, I need, recently I got a job, I need further promotion. I actually want unlimited promotions. Lord also laughs at him. See this living entity, how much desirous he is. He is making business with me. So, but that is not the goal of the life. So, in Krishna consciousness, one comes directly into communion with Krishna, and thus all directions from Krishna may be understood in that transcendental state. One is sure to achieve results by such activities and attain conclusive knowledge. Conclusive knowledge is Krishna is the Supreme Lord, I am his servant. One has only to carry out the orders of Krishna or his representative, that is spiritual master, Guru. In this way, 2.53 also we can understand that we should not get attracted for flowery language of the Vedas. Then in other sloka, we have 1.4.13. I think we have come to the end. Okay. So in all these verses, we can understand that these Parivrajaka acharyas are not ordinary people, and their only business is to preach the cult of the glories of the Supreme Lord and make a general public enlightened into Krishna consciousness. So that is a real verdict of all the Vedas. If a person knows he is a servant Dasa Dasanudas, then everything will be revealed for him. Okay, so then our next activity is, I will take you to some of the videos. These clips are only just clips only. It gives you a little glance on that, how these Parivrajaka acharyas have enlightened the public without chanting these Vedic mantras, being sitting in the temple or somewhere in the hall or somewhere in the small house. They actually come out and they preach the cult of the Lord. That is their business. Even our Srila Prabhupada, he roamed all over the world nearly 14 times, and everywhere he went, he chanted the holy name of the Lord. He established 108 temples, and he gave Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, Gita Bhagavatam for the whole people. He translated from Sanskrit to English, and that made a huge difference. And anybody can able to read it, even African, American, anybody can able to read this. Okay, so we'll have a small snapshots or clips which will help you a lot for your today's understanding. Give me a moment. Hare Krishna. This is what, Sripada Ramanujacharya, he gave the holy name of the Lord. When he got this mantra by his guru, he did not keep quiet. He gave to the all public after getting to know it, after getting to know the meaning and the result of that mantra. Just have a glance.
అయ్యో అయ్యో పాపం ఏం కష్టం వచ్చిందో ఆత్మహత్య ప్రయత్నం మహాపాపం దిగు స్వామి దిగు అయ్యో అయ్యో వద్దు స్వామి దిగు స్వామి
I think that Ramanujacharya is committing suicide, but it is not so.
ఓ రంగనాథ చరణారవిందానురక్తులారా, మహాభక్తులారా, నాది ఆత్మహత్యా ప్రయత్నం కాదు. అందరి ఆత్మలను తరింపజేసే ప్రయత్నం. ఇంతకాలం గోప్యంగా ఉంచబడి కొందరికి మాత్రమే ముక్తికి దారి చూపించే ఆ పరంధాముని, ఆ శ్రీరంగనాథుని దివ్య చరణారవిందాల చెంతకు చేర్చే పరమపద సోపానం, పరమ పవిత్ర దివ్యమంత్రం తిరుమంత్రం బహిర్గతం చేయబోతున్నాను. అందరూ శ్రద్ధాశక్తులతో, భయభక్తి వినయాలతో వినండి.
రామానుజ గురుద్రోహి, గురుద్రోహం దైవద్రోహం చెయ్యకు, నా మాట విను, దిగిరా.
మన్నించండి గురుదేవా, ఇది శ్రీరంగనాథుడి ఆజ్ఞ, నేను నిమిత్తమాత్రుణ్ణి.
లక్ష్మణ, గురువాజ్ఞను ధిక్కరించిన వాడిని ఆ రంగనాథుడే కాదు, ఏ దేవుడు క్షమించడు. చివరిసారిగా హెచ్చరిస్తున్నాను, నా మాట విను.
మన్నించండి ఆచార్య.
ఒరేయ్ పాపి, మంత్రోపదేశం పొందడం కోసం నా చుట్టూ 17 సార్లు తిరిగావన్న నమ్మకంతో, విశ్వాసంతో, జాలితో ఇంతవరకు దేవరహస్యంగా గోప్యంగా ఉంచిన తిరుమంత్రాన్ని నీకు ఉపదేశించాను. అందుకు ప్రతిఫలంగా నువ్వు చెల్లించే గురుదక్షిణ ఇదా? గురుద్రోహి! గురువాజ్ఞను మన్నించకుండా ఆ దివ్య తిరుమంత్రాన్ని ఈ పామర జనానికి నువ్వు బోధించినట్లయితే నీకిదే నా శాపం. ఆ తిరుగులేని తిరుమంత్రాన్ని నువ్వు బహిర్గతం చేసినట్లయితే నువ్వు, నీ కన్నవారు, నీ వంశీకులు అందరూ నరకానికి పోతారు.
Discussing that if you reveal that Tirumantra, you and whole your family will go to the Naraka. Let us see what would happen next.
కృతజ్ఞుణ్ణి గురుదేవా. నాపై తమకు గల అపారమైన దయకు సదా సర్వదా కృతజ్ఞుణ్ణి.
ఏమిటి అపహాస్యం చేస్తున్నావా ధూర్తుడా?
అపహాస్యం, అపచారం కాదు గురుదేవా. నన్ను శపించి అనుగ్రహించారు. నేను ఏమవుతాననే భయాన్ని పోగొట్టారు. ఎక్కడికి వెళతానో సెలవిచ్చారు.
ఆరి దుర్మార్గుడా!
నాది దుర్మార్గమైన, సన్మార్గమైన, వీరందరినీ మోక్ష మార్గంలో పయనింపచేయడమే నా జీవిత పరమావధి. నేనే కాదు, నా వాళ్ళు, నా పూర్వీకులు ఏ నరకాల పాలైనా, ఎన్ని నరకాల పాలైనా సరే చింతలేదు. వీరందర్నీ పాపచింత నుంచి రక్షించి రంగనాథ చరణాల చెంతకు చేర్చడమే నా జన్మకు అర్థం, పరమార్థం. అందరూ శ్రద్ధగా వినండి. ఓం నమో నారాయణాయ. 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 ఓం నమో నారాయణాయ.
ధర్మం అడుగంటి స్వార్థపరుత్వం అడవడునా పెరిగిపోయి అధర్మం, అన్యాయం.
Sripada Ramanujacharya has revealed the absolute truth, the mantra to the public. Now, here we can also learn another lesson, that if you do not react to the counteraction, what would happen? So he actually, Guru was accusing him. Now you see what would happen to the Guru and Shishya here.
విశృంఖల నాట్యం చేస్తున్న ఈ కలియుగంలో తాను నరకానికి వెళ్ళడానికి సంశయించకుండా అందరినీ తరింపచేయాలనే ఆశయంతో తిరుమంత్రాల్ని చాటి చెప్పిన మహానుభావులు రామానుజుల వారు.
హడియేం దాసోహం, హడియేం దాసోహం, హడియేం దాసోహం. మోక్షాన్ని ప్రసాదించే మంత్రం నాకే కావాలనుకోవడం స్వార్థం. మోక్షం అందరికీ ప్రసాదించడం ధర్మం. ఈ మంత్రం బహిర్గతమైతే కోటాను కోట్ల పొందుతారు. అంతమందికి పరమపదం లభిస్తుంటే నేనొక్కడినే నరకం అనుభవిస్తే ఏమవుతుంది స్వామి?
Ramanujacharya says that the holy name is liberates and it delivers all, and I don't mind going to Narakaloka, but it delivers all the crores of millions of people. This way Ramanujacharya explained to his Guru, and now you see how the Guru reacts.
రామానుజ, నువ్వు అవతార పురుషుడు అయ్యా. ఎంబెరుమానారే, ఎంబెరుమానారే, ఎంబెరుమానారే.
Guru says that you are really selfless person, Parivrajikacharya. You have given the absolute truth to the public. He appreciates.
శ్రీరంగనాథన.
So like that, this Ramanujacharya has given, and we have other acharyas, and each clips are there. I can also share so that you can understand what their message to the public is.
అక్షయం కర్మ యస్మిన్ పరే స్వర్పితం రక్షయం యాంతి దుఃఖాని యన్నామతః అక్షరో యోజరః సర్వదైవామృతః కుక్షిగం యస్య విశ్వం సదా జాతికం ప్రీణయామో వాసుదేవం.
Udupi Krishna, you know all, and this is Sripad Madhvacharya.
దేవతా మండలాఖండ మండనం ప్రీణయామో వాసుదేవం. నంది తీర్థోరు సన్నామినో నందినా సందధాన సదా నందదేవే మతిం మందహాసారుణా పాంగదత్తోన్నతిం నందితా శేషదేవాది బృందం సదా వీణయామో వాసుదేవం.
These are the wonderful pastimes of Sri Madhvacharya. And now we can also see our Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, how he also exhibited the ecstatic symptoms, how a devotee should have it.
Language of the mantra, nor there is any need of mental speculation, nor any intellectual adjustment for chanting this Maha Mantra. It springs automatically from the spiritual platform, and as such, anyone can take part in this transcendental sound vibration.
Srila Prabhupada, who is an Acharya, he says that anyone can take part, maybe Christian, Muslim, Jew, or English, or sannyasi, or gruhastha, or bank manager, anybody can take.
Without any previous qualification and dance in ecstasy. We have seen it practically. Even a child can take part in the chanting, or even a dog can take part in it. The chanting is exactly like genuine cry by the child for mother. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
This is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he is Sakshat Krishna himself. Whereas the other Acharyas, they are devotees of the Lord. So when Supreme Lord appeared, he just gave only one mantra. If we want to have self-realization, we can simply read, not even Gita or Bhagavatam, simply read Namamrita book and have the glories of chanting of the holy name of the Lord. Then completely you will be enlightened. But this all should be done under a guru's guidance, otherwise it is Srema Eva Hi Keval. Because normally how Veda Vadarata, how they chant also, I have a small glimpse on this. You can also have a look here.
Daksham dadhate apasamam asvinanidvaririghodravatpani subhaspati puro bhujajanasyatam asvina purodam sasana rasavirayadhiya dhishnyavanadam giraha Dasra yubaka vasutana satya viktavarighishaha ayatam rudravartani इन्द्राया हि चित्रभानो सुरायिवे त्वायवाः अन्वेभिस्तना पूता.
This requires constant practice, isn't it? So you need to have a proper guidance and metrics, and it's very difficult to pronounce, especially in this Kali Yuga. There are no perfect brahmanas who can chant perfectly, and there is no proper quality of the ghee which we can offer in Yajna because this Kali Yuga is degraded. That's why Srila Prabhupada has given this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And you see, when you hear this Vedavada mantras and the holy name of the Lord, how do you find the difference?
Hare Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
So which one you find very easier? So the Vedic mantras is very difficult. So chanting holy name of the Lord is very, very easy. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Grandhara Srimad Bhagavatam. So thank you very much. Now, last but not least, couple of minutes I will wait for your reflections. Then we go for the announcements. Then we have to go to the temple. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Pranam. No questions and all, Prabhuji. Just wanted to say that wonderful session, and we had all different. You took us to different ways of understanding and Vedic mantra chanting, Ramanujacharya's pastime, and then eventually Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and then so nicely you explained that chanting Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is the mantra for this particular age, and it's very easy. So wonderful presentation, Prabhuji. I think you did a lot of background research for getting all these videos together. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Guru Maharaj. Merci. Any questions? Any comments? Okay, so we will go for the announcements. We can read a Prabhupada quote.